The sun had just risen over the quiet city. Its soft golden light touched the tall buildings and empty streets. Birds flew across the sky and the wind whispered through the trees. On the surface, Earth looked peaceful, but in the hearts of some, the past never truly left. Daniel walked slowly along the riverbank. He liked mornings like this. Everything felt calm, and he could forget the noise of the city. He had built a life of quiet work, friends, and small adventures. He liked simplicity. But even in this calm, a part of him felt incomplete. He could not understand why memories of a distant time, a distant place, kept returning in fragments. Faces, voices, and moments he could not fully remember haunted him. Suddenly, a strange light appeared on the horizon. It was not the sun, not the reflection on the water, not any ordinary glow. Daniel squinted. The light moved closer, fast and deliberate, until it hovered above the river. His heart beat faster. Something had landed. He could feel it in his chest, a mix of fear and anticipation. A figure emerged from the light. At first, Daniel thought it was a trick of the sunlight. But then he saw her clearly. She was tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered slightly in the morning light. Her hair was dark and flowed like liquid night. Her eyes were wide and bright, the kind that seemed to look deep into a person's soul. She wore a uniform that was unfamiliar, alien even, yet strangely elegant. Her presence was commanding but not threatening. Daniel stepped closer, unsure if he should speak. His mind raced. He had seen many faces in his life, but none like hers. She stopped a few feet away and looked directly at him. Her voice was calm but carried a strength that made the air seem heavier. "Have you forgotten me, human?" she asked. Daniel froze. The words echoed in his mind. He blinked several times, trying to place her, trying to remember. He did not recognize her immediately. His memory felt like a foggy mirror, reflecting shapes but not clarity. I don't know," Daniel said finally. I think I should remember, but I can't." The woman's eyes softened. She smiled faintly, a mixture of sadness and relief. "I am Nira," she said. "We met many years ago, far from here, in a place you barely recall." Daniel's mind stirred. Nira. The name sounded familiar, like a whisper from a dream. He closed his eyes, trying to reach into the depths of memory. He remembered flashes, a burning star, a collapsing structure, a hand stretched toward him, a life on the edge of destruction, a friendship that had saved her. But the details were lost, Daniel. Nira continued gently. "I am the one you saved during the Star Wars." Daniel's eyes widened. Star Wars, he remembered now. Not the stories, not the games, but the actual war. The battles he had been part of in a galaxy far from Earth. He remembered fear, chaos, and a small, brave alien woman who had trusted him when no one else would. He remembered the promise he had made, to meet again, to survive, to protect. You survived?" Daniel whispered, disbelief and relief mixing together. Nira nodded. "I survived because of you. And I have returned because the galaxy still needs you, still needs humans. There are dangers approaching your world, dangers that are stronger than what we faced before." Daniel felt a cold shiver run through him. His life on Earth, the peaceful mornings, the quiet streets, it was all fragile. He had thought the war was far away, a memory too distant to matter. Yet Nira's words reminded him that the universe was wide, and humanity was small but not powerless. "Why now?" he asked. "Why come here after so many years?" Nira looked toward the horizon, her eyes distant. "Because time is short. The enemies who once hunted me are still alive. They have discovered your world. And they fear you, human. They fear what humanity can become." Daniel could barely believe it. Humans were just beginning to explore space, to learn about distant stars. Yet someone feared them. Someone powerful enough to follow Nira back to Earth. Enemies. "What kind of enemies?" Daniel asked, voice trembling slightly. "Remnants of the fleets we fought," Nira said. "They survived the last war and they seek revenge. They do not see the potential in humans. They see only threat and challenge." Daniel swallowed hard. He had always thought humans were ordinary, fragile, even insignificant on a galactic scale. But Nira's presence, her words, her very being told him otherwise. Humanity was stronger than he had imagined. They were underestimated. "You have changed, Daniel," Nira said softly. "The boy who once fought in a star fortress has become a man who lives among Earth's quiet. But that does not matter. You still have courage. You still have heart. That is why I came to you first." Daniel felt a mix of pride and fear. Courage and heart were not enough if Earth was truly in danger. But seeing Nira, seeing her alive and determined, He realized that fear alone could not control him. The past had shaped him, and now it was calling him to act again. "Tell me what I must do," Daniel said finally, his voice firm. "I will listen. I will help," Nira smiled faintly. "First, you must remember everything. The battles, the choices, the people we saved, the people we lost. Only then can you understand the importance of what is coming." She held out her hand. Daniel hesitated, then took it. The moment their hands touched, memories flooded back. He saw the collapsing star fortress, the alien soldiers advancing, Nira trapped beneath rubble. He remembered lifting her, carrying her through fire and smoke, feeling the weight of responsibility and hope. He remembered the promise they made to each other, that they would survive, that they would meet again. Daniel gasped. "I remember everything," Nira nodded. "Good, remembering is the first step. But there is more. The galaxy is not at peace. The war never truly ended. Those who survived are gathering power, and Earth is their next target. Humans may not yet know it, but they are already remarkable. They can survive, adapt, and inspire. But they will need guidance and courage to face what comes." Daniel's mind raced. His quiet life, the city, the friends, the work, all seemed so small compared to the scale Nira described. He wondered how humanity could prepare for such threats. But seeing Nira, seeing her strength and faith, he felt that humanity could rise to the challenge. Humans had survived the impossible before. They could do it again. What about the others? Daniel asked. "The people I know, my friends, the ones who do not know about this war? They will need protection," Nira said, "and guidance. That is why we must act carefully. We cannot let fear control us, but we cannot ignore the threat either. The galaxy teaches harsh lessons, and Earth must learn quickly." Daniel nodded slowly. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, heavy but clear. He had lived a quiet life, but now the universe called him again, and he would not refuse. Nira looked at him, her eyes filled with determination and warmth. "We will face this together, just as we faced the fortress, just as we survived the Star Wars. Humans are stronger than they know, and you, Daniel, are the first proof." Daniel felt a surge of resolve. The past was no longer a memory. It was a guide. The future was uncertain, but with Nira by his side, he felt ready. The world seemed larger, more alive, and filled with possibilities he had never imagined. The light from Nira's arrival faded as the sun climbed higher, but her presence remained vivid in Daniel's mind. He looked at the river, at the city, at the quiet streets, and he knew that the peace he had taken for granted could not last. The universe had returned to remind him that humans were not weak, not small, not insignificant. He turned to Nira. "Then we start now. We prepare, we act. We will face whatever comes." Nira's smile widened, not of joy but of purpose. Together they walked toward the city, toward the life that awaited them, and toward the challenges that would test humanity in ways no one had imagined. The return of Nira marked the beginning of something greater. A bond remembered, a warning given, and a world about to awaken to its true strength. The Star Wars had ended years ago, but its echoes had found their way to Earth, and humanity was about to prove that it could rise above fear, rise above doubt, and rise above expectation. Daniel's heart beat steadily. He was ready. Humanity was ready. The universe would see that humans were not to be underestimated, and Nira, the alien woman who had returned, would remind them all that courage, loyalty, and heart were universal languages, ones that even the stars themselves could recognize. The city hummed with life as Daniel and Nira walked through the streets. Morning light reflected off windows and people hurried to work, unaware that the universe had just touched their world. Daniel kept glancing at Nira. Her presence felt powerful, almost otherworldly, yet there was kindness in her eyes that made him trust her completely. "Where do we begin?" Daniel asked, keeping his voice low. "You say the galaxy is still dangerous, but the people here, they don't even know about space beyond Earth." Nira looked at him thoughtfully. "Knowledge alone is not enough. Humanity must see its own strength. You saved me once because you acted, not because you had all the answers. That is why I came to you first. You have courage, Daniel, and humans have potential that even you cannot yet see." Daniel nodded slowly. He remembered the moments of fear and choice during the Star Wars. The galaxy had been chaos then, yet he had made decisions that saved lives. Somehow that small spark of courage had been enough to make a difference. And now Nira's return reminded him that courage could be more than just survival. It could inspire an entire world. They reached a quiet park near the river. Daniel had often come here to think. The grass was soft, the trees tall, and the river flowed calmly, reflecting the sky. It was a place removed from the noise of the city. Nira sat on a bench, her posture straight and elegant, while Daniel stood nearby, still unsure of how to proceed. "You must understand," Nira said finally, "that the threat approaching Earth is not like any you have faced before. They are remnants of a fleet that fought across galaxies, and they are organized, clever, and relentless. They do not understand humans, but they fear what humans could become." Daniel frowned. "But humans are just starting to explore space. Most of the world doesn't even know about the other planets in our solar system. How can they be a threat to aliens who have fought across galaxies?" Nira's eyes shone with intensity. "Humans adapt. Humans survive against impossible odds. That is why they are dangerous. I have seen it. In battles where my people failed, humans found solutions that no one expected. Your species has a strength that even the most powerful cannot ignore. That is why I came. That is why I trust you." Daniel took a deep breath. He thought about his friends, his neighbors, and the people of Earth. They were ordinary in their daily lives, yet Nira's words made him see them differently. Humans had not yet realized their own potential, but he could help awaken it. "Then we must act carefully," Daniel said. "We cannot fight blindly, and we cannot let fear control us. But we can prepare, and we can show the world what it means to stand together." Nira smiled faintly. "Exactly. Preparation is the first step, and courage is the second. Humans have both, but they need guidance. That is why I came to you first. You understand sacrifice, choice, and responsibility." Daniel remembered the fortress that had collapsed years ago, the fire, the smoke, and the desperation. He remembered Nira trapped beneath rubble, looking at him with hope. That memory was a reminder that fear could be faced, that courage could shine brightest in the darkest moments. "Where do we start?" Daniel asked. Nira rose gracefully. "We start with awareness. We start by showing humans that the galaxy is wider than they imagine. We show them that they are not alone and that their actions matter." They walked toward a small research facility at the edge of the city. It was one of the few places Daniel trusted with sensitive knowledge. Scientists there were curious, intelligent, and open-minded. Nira had seen them in action during her travels and believed they could be allies. Inside the facility, the hum of machinery and the soft glow of screens created a sense of calm purpose. Daniel introduced Nira to the director, a woman named Maya, who had spent years studying the stars. Nira explained the situation carefully, emphasizing the approach of alien forces and the untapped potential of humanity. Maya listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity. "You're saying there are aliens out there who survived a galactic war, and they are heading toward Earth?" she asked. "Yes," Nira replied, "and they underestimate humans. That is their mistake. But Earth must be ready. Humans must understand their strength and unity." Daniel stepped forward. "We have to prepare, but we cannot frighten people unnecessarily. We need careful planning, training, and awareness. And we need to start with those who can understand the scale of the threat." Maya nodded slowly. "It will be difficult. Most people think space is distant and harmless. But if what you say is true, we cannot ignore it." Nira looked at Daniel. "We will begin with those who can lead. Scientists, strategists, and those who can inspire others. They will help awaken the courage and creativity in humans. They will show others that even the impossible can be achieved." Daniel felt a spark of hope. Humans had been underestimated before, and yet they had survived challenges that seemed insurmountable. Nira's presence reminded him that courage was contagious, that inspiration could spread like fire. Over the next days, Daniel and Nira worked quietly. They met with scientists, engineers, and leaders who could understand the urgency of the situation. They shared knowledge from the galaxy, teaching humans advanced strategies, ways to think creatively in the face of danger, and the value of unity. Nira demonstrated technologies that humans had only dreamed of: energy shields, advanced sensors, and adaptive tools that could respond to unexpected threats. Daniel guided discussions on tactics, emphasizing teamwork, courage, and quick decision-making. Slowly, a small network of humans began to see the potential within themselves, the strength that Nira had always recognized. One evening, Daniel and Nira walked along the river again. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the water. Daniel felt a mixture of exhaustion and determination. It is not easy, he said. People are afraid. They do not yet understand what is coming, and some resist what they cannot see. Nira nodded. Fear is natural, but fear can be transformed into courage. That is what humans have done before, and that is what they will do again. The key is guidance, unity, and belief in themselves. You must show them what they are capable of. Daniel looked at her, feeling both awe and gratitude. I did not know humans could be seen this way by someone from another world. You see strength, courage, potential. I only see ordinary people trying their best. That is because you are human, Nira replied softly. You see the world in small steps, but I have seen the galaxy, and I have seen humans rise where others fail. You underestimate yourselves. That is why I returned. To remind the world that humanity is remarkable. Daniel took a deep breath. Then we will keep working. We will prepare, and we will protect the people who do not yet understand. We will awaken the courage within them. Nira smiled. Yes. And remember, Daniel, you are the first proof of that courage. You saved me once, and now you will help save your world. The bonds of the past can guide the choices of the present. The days passed quickly. Humans began training in secret, learning strategies, building small fleets, and creating defenses. Daniel watched as their confidence grew, as ordinary people discovered extraordinary strength. Nira stood beside him, offering guidance, encouragement, and wisdom from her experiences in the galaxy. One night, Daniel looked at the stars. He thought of the distant planets, the battles fought, and the lives lost. And he realized that Earth was not isolated, that humans were connected to something larger, something magnificent. With Nira's return, humanity had a chance to step into the light of the universe, to face challenges not as individuals, but as a united species. Nira stood next to him, her eyes reflecting the stars. The next step is coming, she said. The remnants of the fleets are aware of our presence. They are observing, planning, and waiting. But we are not powerless. Humans have strength, courage, and unity. That is more than they expect, and it is enough to give us an advantage. Daniel nodded. Then we continue. We prepare, we train, and we awaken the potential in humanity. We will not wait for the threat to arrive. We will meet it with readiness and courage. Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. You understand, Daniel. You remember what it means to act, to lead, and to inspire. That is why you are the first, and why Earth will have a chance. Humans will rise to the challenge because they have no choice, and because they are stronger than they know. As the night deepened, Daniel and Nira looked toward the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the spark of hope. Humanity was on the verge of awakening to its true potential, guided by courage, unity, and the bond that had survived the Star Wars. The past had taught lessons, the present demanded action, and the future held challenges that could test the very limits of humanity. But Daniel knew one thing for certain. Humans would not be defeated. They would rise, and they would prove that courage, heart, and determination could face any threat, no matter how vast the galaxy. And Nira, the alien woman who had returned, would remind them all that strength is not measured by size, power, or technology, but by the courage to act, the wisdom to guide, and the bonds that connect all who fight for survival and hope. The sky over Earth was calm, but Daniel could feel tension in the air. Months of preparation had passed since Nira's return. Humans had begun learning, training, and understanding strategies that once seemed impossible. Scientists and engineers had shared knowledge in secret, building small fleets, defensive systems, and adaptive technology guided by Nira's experience. But now Daniel knew it would be tested. One morning, while walking through the city's observation tower, Daniel noticed a strange pattern in the sky. Small flashes of light appeared far above the atmosphere, moving too quickly to be satellites. His heart quickened. He turned to Nira, who had been studying sensor readings with Maya and a small group of humans. They are here, Nira said calmly, though her eyes were sharp with focus. The remnants of the fleets. They are observing, learning, and preparing. They underestimated Earth for a moment, but they now know humans are awakening. Daniel swallowed. How many? How strong are they? Nira shook her head. We do not know the exact numbers, but they are organized. They have survived countless battles, adapted, and learned from every encounter. They are clever, relentless, and powerful. But humans are stronger than they think. That is what makes this interesting. Daniel felt a mixture of fear and determination. He remembered the battles in the Star Wars, The chaos, the fire, the desperate moments where survival seemed impossible. He knew now that Earth's survival would depend not only on technology, but on courage, unity, and quick thinking. Nira turned to him. We must prepare for engagement, but not in panic. Humans must act strategically, learn to anticipate and adapt in ways that others cannot. Your role, Daniel, is to inspire and guide them. Lead by example as you always have, Daniel nodded. He had learned long ago that leadership was not about authority, but about courage, presence, and the ability to make decisions when everyone else hesitated. He would do whatever was needed to awaken humans to their potential. In the following days, Nira and Daniel traveled across cities, meeting scientists, engineers, and strategists who had begun forming small fleets of ships capable of basic defense and reconnaissance. They trained civilians in strategy simulations, emergency procedures, and teamwork. The message was clear. Survival depended on preparation, unity, and courage. One evening, while observing a simulation of fleet engagement, Daniel noticed a young woman struggling with the controls. Her hands shook as she tried to maneuver a small drone in the simulated space battle. Take your time, Daniel said gently. Do not rush. Think, plan, and act. Humans can adapt, but panic will undo you. The young woman looked at him wide-eyed. I am trying, but it feels impossible. They are so strong, Daniel smiled softly. Strength is not only power. Strength is courage. Strength is choice. Humans have faced impossible odds before and survived. You can do this. Trust yourself and trust your team. Nira stepped forward. Observe, adapt, and think creatively. The enemy will not anticipate human resourcefulness. That is your advantage. Use it. Slowly, the young woman gained confidence. She maneuvered the drone successfully through simulated obstacles, learning from mistakes and adapting quickly. Daniel watched with pride. Humans were learning to trust their instincts, to act with courage, and to think beyond conventional limits. Meanwhile, sensors detected unusual signals from space. Flashes of light, formations of movement, and distant energy readings indicated that the remnants of the alien fleets were closing in. Nira studied the patterns carefully. They are testing Earth's response. They are observing how quickly humans adapt, how they organize, and how they respond to small threats. They underestimate creativity, resourcefulness, and courage. That is their mistake. Daniel looked at the city below, at the ordinary people going about their lives unaware of the cosmic attention focused on them. He thought about the young woman, the scientists, and the strategists he had trained. We need to prepare the world without causing panic, he said. We cannot let fear control anyone. But they must understand what is at stake. Nira nodded. We begin with small demonstrations, simulations, and controlled exercises. Show humans that they are capable. Teach them that courage is stronger than fear, and unity is stronger than chaos. That is how we prepare them without breaking their spirits. In the following weeks, Nira and Daniel organized public simulations under the guise of scientific experiments. Humans from all walks of life participated. They learned strategy, observation, and quick decision-making. They built confidence in their abilities, discovering resourcefulness they never knew existed. And all the while, the remnants of the alien fleets watched silently from distant space. One night, as Daniel walked along the observation tower with Nira, he asked, Do they know we are ready? Nira shook her head. They do not know yet. They are observing, but humans are unpredictable. That is our advantage. Humans do not follow the same rules as others. Humans innovate, adapt, and inspire. That is why they are dangerous. That is why they survive. Daniel looked at the stars, imagining the distant fleets. He remembered the Star Wars, the battles, the moments of impossible survival. He realized that Earth had never been fully alone, that humans had allies in spirit and courage even if the galaxy had seemed distant. Do you think they will attack soon? Daniel asked. Nira's eyes reflected the stars. Soon, perhaps. But timing is not always certain. They will wait for the right moment, for weakness, for hesitation. That is why humans must be ready. That is why you and I must guide them. Courage and preparation are their strongest weapons. Daniel felt the weight of responsibility settle on him, but he also felt hope. Humans were learning, adapting, and growing stronger with every day. Their courage could turn fear into power, weakness into opportunity, and ordinary citizens into heroes. The first real encounter came one morning when strange objects entered the outer atmosphere. They were small, fast, and organized in formation. Human sensors detected them immediately, and Nira analyzed their movements. "They are probing," she said. "They are testing Earth's defenses, but they are cautious. They will not commit fully until they know our capabilities." Daniel led a small team to monitor the approaching objects. Humans had prepared drones and small interceptor ships. The simulations had taught them strategy, and now it was time for real action. The drones moved in formation, tracking the objects and testing maneuvers. Humans coordinated quickly, adapting to the alien movements. Nira watched closely. "This is the first test. Humans will surprise them. Observe carefully." The alien objects reacted unexpectedly. They had not anticipated human creativity. Humans adjusted tactics in real time, confusing and outmaneuvering the alien probes. Daniel's team stayed calm, coordinated, and bold. Within hours, the probes retreated temporarily, signaling to the distant fleet that Earth was not an easy target. Daniel exhaled. They were stronger than expected, but humans held their ground. They learned quickly and acted decisively. "That is progress." Nira smiled faintly. "Yes, this is only the beginning. The galaxy has underestimated humans before, and it will again. But now humans are aware. They are learning to fight with courage, to act with unity, and to think creatively. That is what will protect Earth." In the days that followed, Daniel and Nira continued training humans, analyzing alien movements, and preparing strategies. News of strange objects in space began to reach global governments. But Daniel and Nira guided the narrative carefully, avoiding panic while preparing key leaders. The world was waking up slowly to the truth that humans were not isolated and that courage could change outcomes. One evening, Daniel and Nira stood on the observation deck together, looking at the night sky. "The real battle is coming," Daniel said quietly. Nira nodded. "Yes, but humans are no longer unaware. They are learning. They are growing. And when the time comes, they will rise. Courage and unity will carry them forward." Daniel felt a surge of determination. Humans were capable, resilient, and clever. With guidance, preparation, and inspiration, they could face any challenge. He knew the alien fleets would arrive fully one day, but he also knew that Earth would not be easy to defeat. The stars above seemed brighter that night, filled with possibilities and challenges. Shadows of war stretched across space, but humanity had begun to awaken, guided by courage, knowledge, and the bond between a human and an alien who had once shared life and survival. Daniel turned to Nira. "We will face them together, won't we?" Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. "Together, humans and allies. Courage and preparation will guide them, and when the galaxy underestimates them, they will rise to the challenge. That is the way of humanity." As the night deepened, Earth remained calm on the surface, but above the galaxy watched. Shadows of war loomed, but so did the promise of courage, unity, and unexpected strength. Humans were no longer ordinary. They were awakening. They were readying themselves for a test that would reveal their true power, and the universe would soon learn that courage was not limited to one world, one species, or one moment in time. The morning air was tense as Daniel looked up at the sky. The flashes of distant light had grown larger, moving closer to Earth. Nira stood beside him, calm yet alert. After weeks of preparation, the alien fleet had finally arrived in the solar system. The moment of reckoning had come. "We can see them now," Daniel said, his voice steady. "They are larger than I imagined." Nira nodded. "They are powerful, but humans are stronger than they think. They have creativity, courage, and unity. Those are forces the galaxy often underestimates. Today, humans will show them what they are capable of." Daniel looked down at the cities below. Ordinary people went about their lives unaware of the danger above. But the humans trained in secret, the scientists, strategists, pilots, and civilians who had learned to act courageously, were ready. They were humanity's first line of defense. The alien fleet appeared over the horizon, vast and imposing. Their ships glimmered with technology humans had never seen. Energy shields flickered across their hulls, weapons glowed with power, and their formations were precise. They descended with intent, confident in their superiority. Nira placed her hand on Daniel's shoulder. "Stay calm. Fear will not help. Humans will rise if they act together. Courage will guide them. Leadership, strategy, and unity will protect them. You must inspire, Daniel. Lead by example." Daniel nodded. He took a deep breath and contacted the small human fleet hidden in orbit. The ships responded immediately, their pilots tense but focused. Daniel's voice echoed through the comms, firm and reassuring. "Remember what you have learned. Trust your training. Trust each other. We will face this together. Human courage will shine today." The fleet moved into formation. Drones flew ahead, scouting the alien ships. Interceptors maneuvered in defensive patterns, ready to engage. Humans were prepared, not only with technology but with strategy, courage, and creativity. The aliens struck first, sending a wave of small attack ships toward Earth. Their intent was clear: overwhelm the human defenses quickly and subjugate the planet. But humans responded with precision and unity. Drones intercepted the attackers, adaptive weapons neutralized threats, and humans used clever maneuvers to turn disadvantage into opportunity. Daniel watched closely. He could see hesitation in the alien movements. They had underestimated humans' creativity and adaptability. Every decision, every adjustment, every act of courage surprised them. Nira guided the human fleet. Use the terrain of space. Think like humans, not machines. They will not anticipate human resourcefulness. Lead them through strategy and unpredictability. Show them what courage looks like. Daniel felt a surge of pride. Humans were acting together, combining intelligence, bravery, and rapid adaptation. They were no longer ordinary beings. They were formidable, capable, and alive with determination. The first major strike came when a large alien cruiser descended toward Earth's orbit, its weapons charged with intense energy, aiming to destroy the human fleet. Daniel coordinated human pilots to flank the ship, using distractions, quick maneuvers, and clever attacks. They targeted weak points, adapted strategies in real time, and forced the alien ship to retreat temporarily. Nira observed, her eyes calm but sharp. "See, Daniel? Humans are unpredictable. That is their strength. They do not follow the expected path. They innovate. They adapt. They survive." On the ground, ordinary humans had been evacuated to secure areas, but many had joined observation teams, monitoring the battle in real time. Fear was present, but hope was stronger. Seeing human courage in action inspired others. Civilians realized that unity and determination could change outcomes even against overwhelming odds. Hours passed. The battle escalated. Alien ships used advanced energy weapons, creating explosions in orbit and challenging the human fleet at every turn. But humans remained coordinated. They adjusted their strategies, improvised with limited resources, and acted with precision and bravery. Every victory, every clever maneuver fueled their confidence. Daniel's voice guided them continuously. "Do not give up. Trust your instincts. Adapt quickly. Humanity is stronger than they know. Show them courage." The alien fleet regrouped, attempting a massive coordinated strike. They expected humans to falter, to hesitate, to fail. But humans had learned from every encounter, every simulation, every training session. They anticipated, adapted, and acted with unity. Nira deployed energy shields around critical human assets, coordinating with Daniel to maximize efficiency. She used her experience from countless battles across the galaxy to predict alien movements. Together, she and Daniel guided humans to act decisively and creatively. As the alien forces pressed forward, a group of human pilots executed an unexpected maneuver. Using a hidden gravitational corridor in space, they surrounded a large alien cruiser, cutting off its retreat. The cruiser was forced to surrender, demonstrating that humans were capable of strategy, patience, and precision beyond what the aliens expected. Daniel felt a surge of pride. They underestimated us. They thought we were weak, but we are not. Humans are strong, clever, and brave. Today we show them our courage. Nira smiled. "Yes, Daniel. And this is only the beginning. Humans have shown their potential. They act with heart, unity, and intelligence. That is why they survive. That is why they will rise." The alien fleet realized that Earth was not an easy target. Humans did not fear them. Humans did not break under pressure. Humans adapted and acted together. Slowly, the alien commanders began to retreat, unwilling to lose more ships against an underestimated opponent. On Earth, celebrations quietly began among the human defenders. They had faced an overwhelming force and survived. Courage, unity, and strategy had turned fear into triumph. Daniel looked at Nira, her eyes reflecting pride and relief. "You see, Daniel," Nira said, "humans are remarkable. They do not surrender to fear. They do not falter in adversity, they rise. And today they have proven it. Daniel nodded, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. Humans had survived a trial that could have destroyed them. They had acted with courage, intelligence, and unity. The world would remember this day, not as a day of fear, but as a day when humanity awakened to its true potential. Even as the alien fleet retreated, Nira warned, "This is not the end. The galaxy will test humans again." But today they have learned something critical. Courage, unity, and adaptability can turn impossible odds into victory. Remember this lesson. Teach it, inspire others. Humanity has begun its rise. Daniel looked at the young pilots, the scientists, and the strategists who had fought with determination. They were ordinary people who had acted extraordinarily. He realized that the true power of humanity was not just technology or weapons, but courage, intelligence, and heart. The sun rose higher in the sky, reflecting on the river below. Daniel and Nira walked together through the city, observing the aftermath of the battle. Humans were tired but victorious. The alien threat had been postponed, but humans had gained confidence, knowledge, and unity. "Do you think they will return?" Daniel asked. "Yes," Nira said calmly, "but humans are ready. They have learned to act, adapt, and survive. Their courage is their greatest weapon, and their unity their strongest shield. The galaxy will see that Earth is not weak, and humans are not to be underestimated." Daniel felt hope. Humans had risen to the challenge, and with guidance, courage, and preparation they could face anything. He looked at Nira, thankful for her return, for her wisdom, and for the bond that had once saved her life and now inspired an entire world. As the day ended, Daniel spoke to the human defenders. "Today we showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. We acted with courage, unity, and intelligence. We survived against overwhelming odds. Remember this and teach it. Humanity has risen and we will continue to rise." Nira nodded beside him. "Yes, and the future will test humans again. But courage, unity, and heart will always guide them. They are stronger than they know." Today they proved it to the galaxy and to themselves. The stars above Earth seemed brighter that night. Shadows of war still lingered in distant space, but humanity had stood its ground. The first great battle was over, and humans had emerged victorious not by luck but by courage, unity, and determination. Daniel looked at Nira, feeling the weight of the past and the promise of the future. "We have done well," he said quietly. "Yes," Nira replied, "but the journey continues. The galaxy will watch, humans will rise, and when the next challenge comes, they will face it with courage, intelligence, and heart. That is the way of humanity." And as the night fell over Earth, Daniel and Nira stood together watching the stars, knowing that humanity had taken its first step toward greatness, proving that courage, unity, and determination could face any threat, no matter how vast the galaxy. The alien fleet had retreated beyond the edge of the solar system, leaving Earth calm for the first time in months. Cities buzzed with cautious relief. People returned to their daily routines, but now, their hearts carried a new understanding. Humans had faced an enemy from the stars and survived. Courage, unity, and determination had turned fear into triumph. Daniel stood on the observation deck of the Space Command Center. The sun rose over the horizon, casting gold across the city. Nira stood beside him, her eyes calm, yet reflecting the intensity of the battles they had faced together. She had been through countless conflicts across the galaxy, yet Earth had presented a challenge unlike any she had encountered. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and brave beyond expectation. "They are gone," Daniel said softly. "At least for now." Nira nodded. "Yes, but the galaxy never rests. The remnants will regroup, learn from their mistakes, and return. That is how wars across galaxies are fought. But Earth has shown them that humanity is not weak. Humans are capable of more than they even know." Daniel looked at her, thinking about the past. The memories came flooding back. The star fortress, the collapsing structures, the fire, and the smoke. He remembered lifting Nira to safety, carrying her through chaos when every moment felt like it could be the last. He remembered the bond they had forged in those moments, a bond of trust, courage, and loyalty. "I never forgot you," Daniel said quietly, almost to himself. Nira turned to him, a small, tender smile on her face. "I never doubted it. That is why I returned. The galaxy may change, threats may come, but trust and courage endure. Humans have strength, and some humans, like you, understand it better than anyone. They walked together through the city, observing the people who had trained, adapted, and defended their home. Scientists adjusted the shields and sensors, pilots cleaned their ships, and civilians helped with logistics. Every person who had played a part in the defense now understood something vital: that courage and unity could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. Daniel stopped near the river, where the early morning light reflected on the water. He thought about what had changed. Humans had faced a threat from the stars and had survived not because of advanced technology alone, but because they had acted together, with courage, intelligence, and heart. Ordinary people had become heroes, guided by the bond between Daniel and Nira. "You've given them hope," Daniel said, "and a chance to see their true strength. I only acted because it was necessary, but now I see that humans can rise just as you said." Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. "Humans have always had strength, Daniel. They only needed guidance, encouragement, and someone to remind them of what they could achieve. You saved me once, and now you have helped save the world. That is the way of courage. It inspires others, it spreads, and it grows." Daniel looked at her, a mixture of gratitude and admiration in his eyes. "It is strange," he said. "I thought my life would be quiet, ordinary, but the universe had other plans, and now I see that humanity is capable of so much more than I imagined." Nira smiled gently. "That is why I came to you first. I knew you would understand. Courage is not just bravery in battle. It is loyalty, determination, and the willingness to act when it is most difficult. That is what humans have shown, and that is why they will continue to rise." Across the city, news of humanity's first great victory spread. The public saw images of the small fleet, the drones, and the human ingenuity that had turned the tide. People realized that ordinary humans could achieve extraordinary things. Children looked up at the stars with hope. Adults shared stories of courage. Humanity had awakened to the truth that they were stronger than anyone, friend or foe, had expected. Daniel and Nira returned to the command center, where Maya and other leaders awaited. The team was exhausted but triumphant. Systems were checked, reports were filed, and plans were made for continued vigilance. The aliens had retreated, but Earth's defenders knew they must remain prepared. Maya looked at Daniel. "I never thought humans could rise so quickly or so decisively. Your leadership and the guidance from Nira made all the difference." Daniel shook his head. "It wasn't just me. It was everyone. Every person who trained, every pilot, every scientist, every civilian who helped. They all contributed. Humans are stronger when they act together," Nira added. "And that is the greatest lesson. The galaxy underestimates humans because they do not understand courage, unity, and resourcefulness. Humans adapt, they innovate, and they inspire. That is why Earth survived today. That is why they will survive tomorrow." Later, Daniel and Nira walked along the river again. The city was quiet now, peaceful. But the memory of the battle lingered in their minds. They had faced something that could have destroyed humanity, yet humans had risen, and Daniel realized that his bond with Nira had guided him, inspired him, and reminded him of the strength within every human being. "Do you think they will return?" Daniel asked. "Yes," Nira said calmly. "But humans have learned. They have adapted. They know courage, unity, and intelligence can turn impossible odds into victory. The galaxy will remember today. Humans have proven themselves." Daniel nodded. "And we've proven something too. That even small actions, trust, and loyalty can change the course of history." Nira looked at him, eyes shining with quiet admiration. "That is why I returned. To remind you, to remind humanity that courage endures, that loyalty matters, that heart can change outcomes even when the universe seems against you." Daniel smiled, feeling the weight of both relief and purpose. "I never thought I would be part of something like this. But I see now. Humans are not ordinary. We have potential, strength, and courage beyond expectation, and we will continue to rise." The night fell over the city. Lights reflected on the river and stars appeared above. Daniel and Nira stood together looking at the sky. The alien fleet had been forced to retreat, but their presence remained in the memory of humanity. Lessons had been learned. Courage had been shown. Bonds had been strengthened. "You've changed the world," Daniel said quietly. "And you helped," Nira replied. "Courage is contagious. Actions inspire others. Trust and loyalty endure. That is the way humanity rises. And today humans have proven that they can face the universe not as ordinary beings, but as beings of heart, determination, and bravery." Daniel looked at her, a thought lingering in his mind. Do you think I ever forgot you? Nira shook her head, smiling. No, you never forgot me. And I never doubted it. Bonds formed in courage endure, no matter the years, no matter the distance. That is why I returned. That is why we are here now, to remind humans and ourselves of what is possible. The two of them walked along the riverbank, observing the quiet city. Humanity had survived, but more importantly, it had awakened. Courage, intelligence, unity, and heart had turned an impossible battle into victory. Daniel reflected on everything that had happened. The distant galaxies, the Star Wars, the bonds forged in fire, the training, the first encounter, the battle, and now the aftermath. He realized that humanity's potential was limitless, not because of technology alone, but because of courage, loyalty, and the will to rise. Nira looked at him, her expression both tender and proud. Earth is ready, Daniel. Humans are ready, and one day the galaxy will recognize them for what they are. Survivors, innovators, and beings of extraordinary courage. But never forget, it is their heart that defines them. And that heart begins with trust, loyalty, and the courage to act when it is needed most. Daniel nodded, feeling hope swell within him. Then we continue, he said. We prepare, we inspire, and we guide. Humans are no longer unaware. They have begun to rise. Nira placed her hand gently over his. And together we will face whatever comes. Humanity has proven today that they are not to be underestimated. They are brave, intelligent, and united, and they will rise again when the galaxy tests them. The city lights twinkled below them. The river reflected the stars above, and Daniel understood something profound. Humanity had survived, but more importantly, it had awakened to its own strength. The bond between him and Nira had guided not just one life, but an entire world. Courage had been remembered, loyalty had endured, and hope had returned. Daniel looked at Nira and said quietly, We have done more than survive. We have shown humanity who they truly are, and I will never forget you. Nira smiled softly, a calm glow in her eyes. And I will never forget you. That is the bond that began in courage and endured through the galaxy. That is the bond that will guide humanity forward. As night deepened over the city, Daniel and Nira stood together looking at the stars, knowing that the universe had tested them. Humanity had risen, and the bond of courage and loyalty had endured. Humanity's rise was only beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn that courage, unity, and determination could face any challenge, no matter how vast. And in that quiet moment, Daniel realized that the past, the present, and the future were connected by the same truth. Humans could rise above fear, above doubt, and above expectation. And with courage and heart, they could achieve greatness beyond imagination.